Hey. Well, hello, everybody. I hope that your week is going well. I'm Lisa Reichert. I use she, her pronouns, and I am the Career and Professional Development Lead within People and Organization Development, part of the Berkeley People and Culture Department. And I'm looking forward to playing more pickleball when I retire, one of my favorite hobbies, and I'd love to play more. Uh, I want to welcome you to this Now Encore Series workshop, the next chapter, exploring options and opportunities in late career. And today's session is tailored to provide support for staff who are eager to embark on a journey of self-discovery and envision a fulfilling future as you think about your remaining time here at Berkeley or another UC location. As in addition to our UC Berkeley staff attendees today, we have attendees here from Berkeley Lab and UCSF, so welcome. And also to support you as you think about your plans for your well-deserved retirement years. And here to guide us to reflect and envision this journey are our wonderful co-facilitators, Sigrid Mueller and Cary Sweeney. Sigrid Mueller is a UC Berkeley Emeriti Academy Program Manager, and Sigrid has developed and managed academic and educational programs for more than 25 years at Stanford, at Save the Bay, and at other universities and Bay Area nonprofits. Prior to her current position, she was a program director in the education department at UC Berkeley Extension. Sigrid earned an MA in German literature and a certificate in teaching English as a second language from UC Berkeley Extension. And Cary Sweeney is the UC Berkeley Retirement Center Director. Cary holds a Master's of Gerontology from Virginia Commonwealth University and has 20 plus years of experience in developing and managing programs in geriatrics and gerontology aimed at improving the well-being of older adults. Prior to joining the Retirement Center in 2014, Cary served at UC San Francisco as Project Director of the Hartford Center of Gerontological Nursing Excellence and Program Manager of the NorCal Geriatric Education Center Division of Geriatrics, School of Medicine. Welcome, Sigrid and Cary, and I turn it over to you.
Thank you so much, Lisa, for your kind introduction. I'm gonna start sharing my screen. Okay, here we are. Why a workshop for late career staff? There are lots of opportunities and support available for early and mid-career staff, and rightfully so. Not so much though for late career employees, especially considering retirement. Retirement is often approached with the nuts and bolts of financial considerations and healthcare in mind. And they are important aspects, of course. What is often missing from the conversation is how to prepare for the emotional aspects of transitioning from our workplace to a new phase in our lives, envisioning not only the opportunities that retirement brings, but also acknowledging the loss, what we are asked to leave behind and give up. This workshop is an invitation to explore some of the complex feelings and processes associated with this stage in our career. In the first half of this workshop, we will reflect on major life transitions and the experiences and skills we gained in the process. In the second half of the workshop, we will introduce William Bridges' model of 3 stages of transitions. He developed this model to support individuals to better manage transitions, and we find this model helpful for framing the transition towards retirement. We will engage with you into activities that are designed to provide In conversations with colleagues in late career, we have often noticed that many enjoy the stage. They know who they are, their strengths and limitations. They have seen it all, or a lot. They acquired the skills to navigate challenging work situations and what to take seriously and what to take with a sense of humor. Some have become mentors to younger colleagues. Some enjoy the sense of seniority on a team or in a department. Next, I would like to engage you in a word cloud activity. I would like to know, what are you most excited about or satisfied with in the current stage of your life and career? And Lisa will share the URL in the chat. I will stop sharing for a moment. And get to this one here. Okay, have you all found your way into the word cloud activity side?
So to go to the word cloud, you can copy and paste the link that I just put to pulleverywhere.com. It's in the chat. Or if you have a smartphone or smart device, you could raise it up to the QR code here on the screen. Sigrid, maybe if you could click on that QR code, it would make it larger. And then the question is also in the chat. What are you most excited about or satisfied with in the current stage of your life and career?
Stop sharing again because there's some issue here with.
Share your screen to share the window, the URL, the poll window, Sigrid.
Yep, that's what I'm trying to do.
And if that's not working, we could just ask people to share in the chat.
Yeah, maybe we're going to do that. It looks like I'm not going to get this to work. So if you could just share in the chat a word that comes to mind when you think about what are you most excited about or satisfied with in the current stage of your life and career. Exploring, competence and confidence, mentoring, financially stable. What I have learned over the years and new experiences, wisdom means professional confidence, expertise, emotional calm, opportunities to solve problems. I like that. Being part of a great institution, work culture transformation, nice. Confidence and satisfaction from expertise and wisdom. Not panicking, I like that. Great. Wonderful. So I noticed a lot of satisfaction and contentment and stability and really feeling like settled into who you are and who you have become. Lisa, let's pull up a poll because I'm kind of interested in finding out how long you have been here at UC Berkeley and or at UCOP or at the lab. All right, a lot have been here more than 20 years, some more than 30 years, and many of you up to 19 years. Great, very good. Lots of experience and expertise in the room, and people having accumulated lots of knowledge. Great. I would like to conduct another word cloud activity, not word cloud activity, because it doesn't work. Let's do it via the chat again. This time I would like you to share with me, when you think about retirement, what comes to mind for you? And share a word or two. Freedom. Opportunities to be creative. Yeah, that's what I look forward to. Time, self-direction, lack of structure. That's a scary one. Travel and relaxation. No commute. A new chapter. Yes, change. Very much change. That's what we're going to talk about. Fear of boredom and loneliness. Opportunity for more family time. Excitement and panic. Yep. Flexibility, it is a big change. Fewer obligations and no work, making your own schedule. Very good. Thank you so much for that. I am gonna go back and share my screen with you for the continuation of my PowerPoint. Here's what we have been learning from retirees about the transition to retirement. Most start off eagerly counting down the days. They check their retirement estimator once a month, maybe daily. The big day arrives and they are finally retired. Most feel a blissful release from the intense pressure of a 40-hour work week, just as you put in the chat a second ago. Most people are happy right from the beginning of their retirement. And then the giddy glow wears off as they try to adjust to unstructured days. Although most welcome this new flexibility, many of our retirees described unexpected feelings of being at loose ends, which typically takes from about 6 months to 2 years, sometimes longer to sort through. Some are excited that they can engage in their favorite activity every day. Others enjoy the open space of time they can share with friends, and some experience a sense of disorientation or feel lonely. And you have already hinted at that you have some of those fears as well. What many retirees tell us is that retirement is best understood as a transition, not an event. It's a rite of passage and a process, like from childhood to adolescence, from adolescence to early adulthood, and so forth. If we can plan transitions, they can go smoothly with soft hills and valleys, rather than with jagged edges, which can characterize transitions that take us by surprise and for which we aren't so prepared. Today, we will look at some ways to consider and plan for what hopefully turns out to be a smooth transition for you. Like with many transitions we've experienced before, it can be both rewarding and challenging and can bring a variety of emotional reactions. Excitement for learning new things and meeting new people. Fear of the unknown. Not sure you do a good job, make new friends. A major feature of a transition is change. And again, you have already hinted at that. The next question I have for you is, what are some transitions that come to mind when you think of life transitions that have been particularly important to you? And you can unmute yourself and speak up, or you can also use the chat. So what are some of the life transitions that have been particularly important? Moving, yeah. A new job, becoming a parent, loss of parents, ending of a marriage, illness, going back to grad school in my 30s. Wow, that's exciting. Layoff, that's a big one. Becoming a caregiver for my dad. Moving to a new country, I can attest to that. Cancer, very scary. Spending more time with grandkids and family. Changing careers. Great. Thank you. So what we, as most of us who are of a certain age, we have been through a lot of transitions, and you shared quite a few with me. We are experienced at transitions, and I assume that we learned a couple of lessons along the way. Why do we emphasize the importance of paying attention to transitions in the context of thinking about late career and retirement? Because transitions involve letting go of what was a part of our identity and purpose. These are big ones when it comes to retirement. Sometimes friends, neighborhoods, our home, if we decide to relocate. In helping us with framing the process of transition, we found William Bridges' stages of transitions a useful concept, and we'd like to share it with you. As mentioned earlier, Bridges developed this model for individuals to understand and to more effectively manage and work through the personal side of change. Bridges describes 3 stages in the transition process: endings, neutral zone, and beginnings. Let's start with the endings. Every transition begins with an ending. We have to let go of the old things before we can pick up new ones. Bridges emphasizes that for many of us, it is frightening to discover that some part of us is still holding on to who or what we used to be. The first phase of transition, the ending, begins when people identify what they are losing and learn how to manage these losses. They determine what is over and being left behind and what they will keep. These may include relationships, processes, colleagues, or locations. Most of us find endings really difficult, and through our lives, we have developed our own style of how we deal with endings. The neutral zone. People go through an in-between time when the old is gone, but the new isn't fully apparent yet. Bridges describes the neutral zone as a time when the critical psychological realignments and repatterns take place. The neutral zone is the very core of the transition process. This is the time between the old reality and sense of identity and the new one. In the neutral zone, things are in flux and we may feel confused and distressed. This process can be slow and uncomfortable. Without it, however, one may risk losing her thread of personal development, being left with an inexplicable change and an overwhelming desire to put the pieces back together as quickly as possible. The big opportunity of the neutral zone is that it serves as the seedbed for the germination of new beginnings. People are creating new processes and learning what their new roles will be. Beginnings may involve new understandings, values, and attitudes. Beginnings are marked by a release of energy in a new direction. They are an expression of a fresh identity. Well-managed transitions allow people to establish new roles with an understanding of their purpose, the part they play, and how they'd like to contribute and participate, a new sense of agency. In a most ideal scenario, as a result of a well-managed transition, a person feels reoriented and renewed. So briefly, what is the change? What is the difference between change versus transition? Change usually happens quickly, and it is mostly experienced externally and also visibly. You know, changing jobs, marriage, moving into a new home, loss of a loved one, or loss of a job. Transition, on the other hand, is a psychological process, and it is experienced internally. It might be invisible or hard to observe in others. It involves an ending, having to let go of something, grieve in some way, experience feelings of loss. And it also includes gaining clarity of what you want to keep. A transition can be described as the process people go through to come to terms with a new situation. All of us had to draw on internal and external resources for the major transitions in our lives. For the next activity, we invite you to reflect upon some of those resources you have used when you found yourself in major transitions. The purpose of this exercise is to help you become aware of how many resources you have accumulated over your lifetime that position you well when approaching the transition to retirement. Please find the worksheet that you see on the screen that Lisa has shared with you in advance.
I also put a link to the handout in the chat.
Great, thank you so much, Lisa. So what you're asked to do here is you jot in this timeline up here a couple of major transitions that have been really important to you, like the ones you shared in the chat. And then you determine what did you draw on to get through these major life transitions. You can circle all that apply, and you can actually add some of your own categories to it. And yet, as you can see, there is a difference between inner resources, external resources, and additional resources you might have used. And then jot down some thoughts on you and observations that come up to you for you in terms of what surprised you most on the other side of the transition, and what are you particularly proud of regarding the transition. We will give you 5 minutes for this activity of quiet time. And I will give you a heads up halfway through it. And then we will debrief together after that.
Stop.
So we are about halfway through, and we'll convene in about 2 minutes. Okay, I am gonna stop sharing, and let's talk a little bit about what came up for you. And perhaps for this, it would be nice if some of you would be willing to unmute themselves and share some of the inner resources that you have been drawing on in times of transition. Anybody willing to share?
I'll share.
Oh, go ahead.
Humor. That's what got me through a lot of things. Humor.
Very good. What else?
I second that. I just, of all of the things, I mean, I was going to say, like, for me, positive thinking has like a negative connotation, like, oh, I'm just going to think positively and everything's going to get done. And that sometimes that positive thinking, that was one of the things that kind of surprised me afterwards. It's like, oh, I thought so positive about it, and it wasn't all that it was cracked up to be. I like maybe overcompensated in the positive thinking. So, but yeah, I second humor.
What else? What other internal resources? And please feel free to use the chat if you're more comfortable with that. Flexibility, yeah, that's a good one. Staying flexible. Go with the flow, not too rigid. Determination, yeah, that's an important one too. Exercise, yeah, good, I like that. Pre-planning, yes, that's the theme of today's workshop. Having support from friends and family, yeah, that's really, really important. what were some of the external resources that you have been drawing on in times of transition? Friends. Yep. Support group, good. Community support. Yeah, counseling. Yeah, lots of family and friends I see here. Yeah, very good. What's a professional network? I like that. That's also good. Spouse, partners.
Chris has her hand up.
Hi, everybody. I'm Chris. I worked with a great group of people for many, many years, and then something went a little bit sideways. And so now they've seen me at my very worst. And so anytime anything is a little bit weird when I'm working, I go to this like group that's like my like work board of directors, which are just really all my former coworkers. And we're just kind of in the huddle together. And they've been super duper helpful. And we can kind of go to like a very sort of delicate place rather rapidly because we kind of lived through it together. And that's been super, super helpful.
Wonderful, Chris. Thank you so much for sharing that. I see another one, art and music. That's an important one for me as well. Thank you. Books. Books are good friends. They can be good friends. Good. What surprised you most when you came out on the other side of transition? What surprised you most? Some of my colleagues. Oh, that's so nice. Yeah. Your colleagues can be an important resource and important supporters. What else? Yeah, that I got through it. Very good point. Yeah. Some other thoughts? Good. Well, lots of awareness about what kind of internal and external resources you have available. Oh, and I got one. What surprised me was that after the initial shock of the transition, things were way better. That's great. That's kind of what we hope for, don't we? Yeah. And most of my worries were unnecessary. That's another one, really good one to keep in mind. So keep these internal and external resources that you just identified in mind. They are a good foundation and serve almost like a first aid kit or an emotional safety net as you think and plan for transitioning into late career or towards retirement. And I will go back to sharing my screen with you. Many experts who support individuals as well as organizations in times of transition recommend that their clients take time to determine what they deeply value. Personal values serve as a guiding principle that may influence our attitudes, behaviors, and choices. They can provide a sense of purpose and direction to our lives. You may have experienced yourself that aligning your actions with your values resulted in personal growth, fulfillment, a stronger sense of identity even. For the following activity that we are now going to do together, I invite you to reflect on your values and explore how they shape your life. Lisa, would you be so kind and put the values exercise in the chat?
Yes, it is now there, the link to that handout.
And I am trying to stop sharing here. And I will share with you the activity and just walk you through it. Can you see it? Great.
You make it a little bigger, maybe maximize it and
Okay.
zoom it in a little bit. There's a zoom button in the bottom right corner of the PDF. There you go. And zoom in. Just a couple times. That's good. Thanks, Sigrid.
So with this values assessment exercise, there are 3 pages. On the first page, you have a values checklist and you see 2 columns. On the left column, you have activity-based values that are related to your work activities. And these are values that are most critical to you in terms of how satisfied you are. On the right side, you have lifestyle and environment values, and those are important to identify activities and a lifestyle outside of work that will be most satisfying and important to you. And for this first step, you are asked to identify in each of those columns about 6 to 8 of those values. Then in the next step, you go back to your activity-based values. And then you kind of review and see in what kind of a values group they fall under. And the goal here is that you stay within 3 values groups. If your activity-based values fall into more than 3 values groups, decide which 3 value groups best describe your strongest values. And don't worry about the Holland themes and the skill categories. That's not really important. And also, if there are values that are not listed, just add them. Don't feel too constrained by this list. The last page is about the lifestyle and environment values. You do a similar thing. You jot down your 6 to 8 lifestyle and environmental values. There is actually a typo here. It should read lifestyle and not work life. So you put the 6 to 8 values related to lifestyle and environment into the left column. And then you provide a personal definition and experience. Oh, I'm so sorry. I skipped over that in the previous one. So for step 2 and step 3, you are asked to basically define your most important skill and identify and experience. So for instance, if physical challenge is a value of yours, how do you define it? You might define it as completing a modest or strenuous hike. What is the experience? You recently completed a 12-mile modest hike. So you do that for the 6 to 8 activity-based values, and then you do the same thing for the 6 to 8 lifestyle and environment values. Same here, give it some personal definition, and then what are some of the experiences you have related to that. We will give you a little bit more time for this activity, about 8 to 10 minutes of quiet time, and then we will do something similar, just share out afterwards.
Does everybody have those values in front of them, that first page, those list of values? Everybody's got that in front of them, right? Okay. All right. Are there any questions about the instructions? It's okay if you do.
Cary.
Okay.
We are about halfway through. You have about 4 more minutes. Okay. If you are ready, would you mind sharing some of the values that have come up for you? And perhaps some interesting insights you gained, something that surprised you. Physical challenge, helping others, health and fitness. How do you like to physically challenge yourself? What are some of your favorite activities? Oh, that's interesting. No wonder I struggle with my job on a daily basis. So little of it touches my values. Thank you so much. That's Anne, for sharing that. That's a really important insight, actually. Yeah, analytical and creative expression, relationship, communication. Oh yeah, treadmill and stretching, running. Here are a couple of physical activities you enjoy. Walking group challenges, 10,000 steps a day. Not so easy, right? Not so easy to get that in. Great. Good. Yeah, anything. Let's see, I'm gratified to see how consistent my values have remained over time. Nice. And how clear they are to me now, having lived with them for so long. That's a really nice comment, Charlie. Thank you. New ideas, learning, and intellectual challenge, but surprisingly little interest in mastery. Thank you. Thank you. Really, really good. Thank you so much. This is like really great insights that you have gained from this activity. Thank you. So together with the external and internal resources, the activity that we did just before, and combined with this values exercise, we intended these activities to be a possible compass for you for times of transition, whether you are younger and you are transitioning into your middle age and where you at in your career, whether you are transitioning into late career, or whether you are thinking about retirement. We hope that you will revisit these exercises and maybe even date them, and then keep them and look through them and see how things are changing for you. I will go back to sharing my screen with you. All right. Anticipating beginnings. We're coming to the last part of our workshop where we would like to talk a little bit about new beginnings. Let's imagine you're retired. You have come to terms with some of the sadness and loss you experienced when you left your job and your colleagues. And you gain some clarity on what is really important to you. And some of you have shared that already with us. And what you'd like to focus on in this next phase of your life. You allowed the dust to settle and the new to emerge. You're ready for a new beginning. rebuilding or building your support network. Why is this the first topic that pops up? Studies have found that people who have a good, robust social network are more satisfied with life. They keep their minds and their bodies more active. Friends are good for our physical and mental health and well-being. And many of you have already spoken to that. The problem as you approach retirement is that your social network during retirement is going to shrink. You probably won't stay in touch with all of your work colleagues, and some of your longtime friends may move away or are less available as we age. I will not go through this activity with you today, but in our research package that we're gonna share with you after the workshop is over, this will include a little activity that is called the relationship audit. And that is kind of just a quick way for you to ascertain who is close to you, who makes up your network of friends in these different circles. Again, something we hope that you will revisit a couple of times as you move along in your career. Okay. Beginnings also include, hopefully, participating in group and solo activities and cultivating group and solo activities. Participating in these group activities is a great way to build your social network. Finding a solo activity that you thoroughly enjoy is restorative. It doesn't always have to be with other people. And at Berkeley, you have a lot of opportunities actually to explore this now while you're still in a job, but also later on when you're retired. For instance, there is the Osher Lifelong Learning Institute, lots of courses, lecture events, travel groups for people over 50. The UC Berkeley Retirement Centers offers many lectures across disciplines and topics, and they are free to attend. And hopefully we will have a little bit of time for Cary to talk a little bit about what the retirement offers and how the retirement center can support you. Sports, many of you are physically very active. You can continue that, of course, in retirement. You see retirees get a discounted rate at the recreation sport facility with access to over 130 group exercise classes. And then also check out our local parks and recreational opportunities. We live in an area, we're really lucky that we live in an area with so many outdoor activities just right here available. Walking groups, the East Bay Regional Park District sponsors nature hikes, often at least one weekday. And that is also an opportunity to both socialize and be involved in the physical activity. And then explore volunteering. And again, you don't have to wait until you retire. It's something that you can dip your toes into while you're still working. One of the resources we at the Retirement Center recommend is Volunteer Match. You can set up a profile, and that will allow you to define what you are interested in, and then they will curate volunteering opportunities for you. So really great resource. Whoops. most importantly, start the conversation now. Start building your network outside of work now. Start talking with your friends and family about the time when you retire, how you imagine being retired. It's really never too soon to start the conversation. To wrap it up, we hope that this workshop has provided you with some good food for thoughts and some concrete tools and strategies to prepare more intentionally for the transition towards retirement. As I already mentioned, we will share with you in a separate email a couple of resources and a 2-question survey to find out if you're interested in joining a staff organization for late career employees, where we can explore many of the topics mentioned today in greater depth and detail. Thank you so much for your time and for participating. And we have time for questions, but I would like to invite Cary to talk a little bit about the Retirement Center and how the Retirement Center can help you with this time of transition. Cary.
Well, we can open it up for questions. I think what we are trying to do at this, and what we are trying to do at the Retirement Center is take some of the bad rap out of the word retirement. It really isn't any reflection of what people are doing in retirement. They're not winding down at all. That's literally what it means. They're winding to different things. Maybe they continue to work. Maybe they'd like more purpose in their work that matches their values. And so while we're called the Retirement Center, because that's what we've been called for 25 years, we recognize that the landscape has changed. People that are retiring now are interested in different, perhaps in some more engaging work, meaningful, purposeful work, or activities. So the center has become sort of a central hub for these ideas and resources. We know about retirement coaches. You can also sign up for a coach to talk about through people and culture. Some of them are trained to talk about later career, and Lisa can talk more about that, but that's a great tool. Use your tools now if you plan to not work on recall, or if you don't, and when you retire, you just to please start thinking about these things now and start using those resources now. The Career Center, all the programs and workshops that Lisa are offered, and consider the staff organization. I'm really excited about that. Sigrid is excited about spearheading that, and that could be a real circle, like she's not on now, but Chris mentioned early, like a work circle to talk about things that are associated with later career. And the center is a resource, so just keep us in mind. We're here to keep you connected to the university, to maintain your email address, to get resources for you and your spouse. When it comes time to dealing with the technical process, we can help be a liaison with OP, etc. So just look to us when you think about transitioning later career. And Brian asks, I'm familiar with the Zoom presentations of the Retirement Center. What else does the Retirement Center offer? So a lot of lifelong learning that you're welcome to attend. If you have time, we encourage you to jump right in and start now. You'll be added to our mailing list, or if you're not already, and any of those lectures you're welcome to come to. We have a picnic every year. You're welcome to come to that if you want to start meeting other retirees and start developing your network. We offer retiree associations. So if you're with the lab, there's a retiree association for the lab. There's one for staff, one for faculty, and one for the Office of the President. We offer a home sharing program where you can rent your home out to a graduate student or anyone in the community for reduced rent and a little extra income in retirement. And opportunities to serve on boards and service and volunteer. If you've got an idea, we love to try to support that. So those are just some of the things. And our Center Express email newsletter is the best way to stay in touch with us and get a sense of what we offer. Some of which you've already might receive that. Thank you, Brian, for that.
Well, thank you so much, Sigrid and Cary. And I have a question. I think this has come up a little bit. Might you be able to share your definition or how we might help assess what does late career mean, as we are thinking about it or seeing how we fit into that term?
Yeah, I think it's what I would say is it's like I said earlier in the chat, it's a continuum. So early career, you'd be just launching your career. You're new, you're figuring out the ways to just sort of maybe climb up, maybe advance yourself mid-career. You've got a handle on it. You may want to continue to climb. Later career, you've climbed and maybe you're at where you want to be, or maybe you want to shift to some other thing completely. It's a time of reflection after a long time in a career. A lot of people have 20, 30 years at the university. It's a point of reflection on what you've done and then where you want to go. And it typically has some element of purpose and meaning, reflection, and thinking about it. That's kind of how we are thinking about this. So later career, you wouldn't necessarily be climbing the ladder anymore. Maybe you want to continue, that's fine. But typically it's a time of reflection to look back to then look forward.
Right.
So
Thank you.
it really differs from a lot of the career typical people and culture typical workshops, because it's kind of reflecting on a lifetime of a career. But it still does critical value check-in. You're thinking about transferable skills. Some of what you're doing in typical traditional people and culture HR trainings are applicable. You just need to shift them. So if you're going to think about transferable skills to, say, for example, working at a nonprofit instead, finishing 25 years, getting your benefits, getting your insurance, and then moving to nonprofit, then you need to think about what your transferable skills are there. So some of those principles still apply in career training. Want to yield back 3 minutes to folks so that they can get on with their day? Or are there other questions? I just want to thank people for making time for yourself today and joining in the group.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Well, I want to thank you once again, Sigrid and Cary. Thank you for sharing information on this topic. Thank you, everybody, for being here and for engaging. I put a link to the evaluation in the chat. I'll follow up with an email and send links to the slide deck and to the evaluation and some other resources. And we hope you all have a wonderful afternoon.
Yeah,
thank you
for your thoughtful comments. It's really, really great to spend the time with you. And thank you, Lisa.
Yeah, thank you. Take care.